Welcome to Amaze Restoration Northwest Calgary, your one-stop shop for everything asbestos. Whether you're looking for a Northwest Calgary asbestos inspection, Northwest Calgary asbestos test, Northwest Calgary asbestos removal or Northwest Calgary asbestos consulting, we've got you covered. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are experienced with Northwest Calgary asbestos procedures, Northwest Calgary asbestos guidelines, Northwest Calgary asbestos legislation and asbestos safety requirements to help your asbestos project run as smoothly as possible no matter what stage you're at. Asbestos projects of all sizes are welcomed, both residential and commercial. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Air Quality Testing. Northwest Calgary air quality testing is a very important step in the restoration process. While undisturbed asbestos is not a threat, disturbed asbestos on the other hand can be very dangerous. If you believe an asbestos-containing material has been disturbed and released its fibers into the air, an air quality test should be performed. It will let you know exactly how safe the air you're breathing is. An asbestos air quality test should be done before, during and after a restoration project. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Air Monitoring. During an asbestos abatement, air quality is monitored to gauge the risk level and ensure the safety of the workers as well as the public. This is typically done by a third party and not the asbestos removal contractor. Make sure when you are getting a quote for asbestos removal that air quality monitoring is included. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Air Quality/Air Monitoring Consultant. An asbestos air quality/monitoring consultant is the person that performs daily monitoring during the asbestos abatement process in order to achieve asbestos clearance, which is required by law in most regions. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Inspection. An asbestos inspection should always be performed by a certified professional because they have the proper training and equipment for the procedure. An asbestos inspection will begin with a visual inspection of the area and building materials involved. Certified inspectors know what to look for and how to examine materials with minimal disruption to the material. A typical inspection can take up to 3 hours depending on the scope of work. If the inspector suspects that a material or materials may contain asbestos, they will then carefully extract a sample to take to a government-approved testing facility for further analysis. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Inspection Cost and Timeline. An asbestos inspection can typically take anywhere from half an hour to 3 hours depending on different factors such as area size, area accessibility, and the number of materials involved. Contact us today for location and situation-specific pricing. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Testing. Typically, there are two types of tests for asbestos: an air quality test and a materials test. The air quality test takes samples of the surrounding air and determines what amount of asbestos is in the air. A materials test is when an inspector carefully extracts a small sample of the materials in question and takes them to a government-approved testing facility for further analysis. Test results can typically take up to a week. An asbestos test might be conducted for a number of reasons such as, but not limited to, uncontrolled asbestos release/exposure. An uncontrolled release of asbestos fibers is not uncommon. The renovation of a building or the demolition of materials inside of a building can uncover many surprises that couldn't have been foreseen. This type of release can be the most dangerous because the proper personal protective equipment, PPE, is rarely on the person being exposed. If you uncover something that looks like it may contain asbestos, stop work immediately and contact a certified asbestos professional to assess the situation and administer tests where required. Pre-renovation test. If you are thinking of a renovation in your house or commercial building, an asbestos test should always be step number 1 for the safety of all people involved. Depending on the year of the building, asbestos can be found in roofing materials, flooring materials, and everything in between. Controlled asbestos release/exposure. During an asbestos abatement conducted by certified asbestos professionals, air quality testing and monitoring is performed throughout the project to ensure the safety of the tradespeople and the public. Some websites recommend testing for asbestos in buildings built before 1990. However, there were still building materials sold in the 1990s that contained asbestos, so we recommend testing for pre-2000 buildings. This includes both residential and commercial. Northwest Calgary on-site asbestos testing. A material that potentially contains asbestos should always be taken to an approved facility for testing. Northwest Calgary drop-off asbestos testing. A trained and certified asbestos professional should take the asbestos sample to an approved facility. Northwest Calgary mail-in asbestos testing. Asbestos testing kits can be purchased online and typically the results are mailed in. Ensure local laws allow for uncertified testing, as many regions are now requiring that a certified asbestos technician perform the test. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Testing KIT. Asbestos testing kits can be purchased online and typically the results are mailed in. Ensure local laws allow for uncertified testing, as many regions are now requiring that a certified asbestos technician perform the test. We have provided some options that require you to take the samples, however, we only recommend an on-site asbestos certified professional take the tests. If you insist on taking samples yourself, be sure you follow the local laws and guidelines laid out for you by your local authority. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Removal. Asbestos removal is also known as asbestos abatement or asbestos remediation. After a certified asbestos professional has completed an inspection and testing and the results have returned positive, it's time to begin the asbestos removal process. Your certified asbestos contractor will then set up containments for the areas and materials affected. Only qualified technicians will be allowed to enter the contained areas until the removal is complete. Regular progress updates will be provided throughout the process. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Consulting. An asbestos consultant can help you see things that you might miss during your asbestos restoration project. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Third-Party Consultant. An asbestos consultant is typically a third-party consultant. They can help you with important decisions before you begin your project, during the project and at the final steps before completion. Think of third-party asbestos consultants as an assistant to you, a fresh set of eyes at every step of the way. If something doesn't seem right with your asbestos project, if you're not sure about local laws and regulations, simply ask your consultant. They are a bias-free resource to help with any concerns you may have in regards to your asbestos project. Ask for a AAA-rated Amaze restoration consultant today. Northwest Calgary Renovations and Asbestos. With the inspections, testing, removal, and final testing now complete, it's time to put everything that was affected back together. Quite often the asbestos contractor will serve as the general contractor at this point. Asbestos contractors have a long list of qualified trade contacts to utilize. They are also familiar with the way everything was set up beforehand. Northwest Calgary Asbestos DIY. Asbestos is never a do-it-yourself project. Hire a trained and certified asbestos professional. Asbestos kills. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Information. Asbestos is a naturally occurring, fibrous material that can be found in soil and rocks. Humans have been extracting and utilizing asbestos for thousands of years and for many different purposes. Asbestos has been used in numerous building materials over the last 200 years because of its amazing strengthening and insulating capabilities. In the 1970s, studies and tests performed on asbestos resulted in findings that devastated the construction industry. Asbestos is extremely harmful to humans when they are exposed to the fibers. The effects of exposure include, but are not limited to, lung cancer and can take many years to surface. Because of this, there are still approximately 100,000 people that die every year because of direct exposure to the material. There are many building materials that can potentially contain asbestos, and because of that it is highly recommended that you have your building tested for asbestos before commencing any type of demolition work. This includes both residential and commercial buildings. The cost of a test is very reasonable and will ensure the safety of your family and/or employees. Asbestos can be found in roofing materials, flooring materials, and almost everything in between. Northwest Calgary Asbestos Training, Testing and Removal. Are you eager to learn how to remove asbestos or test for asbestos? We can help set you up to become trained and certified for asbestos. Learn what the dangers are, the proper procedures when dealing with asbestos, and how to become a certified asbestos abatement technician. We offer training for asbestos testing and asbestos removal for our staff, franchisees, individuals, and companies that are involved in our asbestos business network. If you are looking to take an asbestos certification course, contact us and we can help get you set up. Northwest Calgary dangers of asbestos. Asbestos contains harmful fibers that can attach themselves deep in the lungs and cause long-term health hazards. Mesothelioma, cancer of the lining of the chest or abdominal cavity, asbestosis, scarring of the lungs making breathing difficult, and lung cancer are a few examples of what asbestos can cause. It is believed that there are no safe levels of exposure to asbestos. The following are examples of common building materials that are known to contain asbestos. Vermiculite in attic insulation layered with wood chip, batt, or blown-in insulation. Drywall joint compound or joint cement. Ceiling texture, usually popcorn ceiling or knockdown. Ceiling tiles. Floor tiles and some carpets, paper backing or glue. Stucco and plaster. Insulation. Duct wrapping around pipes, furnaces, heating vents, etc. Sprayed paint and coatings. There are three risk levels when dealing with asbestos. Low risk, minimal protection required with asbestos abatement procedures followed. Moderate risk, full protection and asbestos abatement procedures followed. High risk, extra protection required and asbestos abatement procedures followed. Types of asbestiform. Asbestos is the commercial name as well as the legal name for asbestiform, a classification of a variety of minerals. Chrysotile. Amazite. Crocidolite. Anthophyllite. Tremolite. Actinolite. What percentage of asbestos is safe? No percentage of asbestos is considered safe. Always proceed with caution when there is a suspicion of asbestos and be sure to contact a trained and certified professional for consulting. This video has been created using AI/ML/CO technology. Contact them today and